9, 8, 7. We have a go for main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff.
What is up? What is up? What is up, SFL Nation? Welcome back to SFL Nights with AJ Striker. Thank you so much for joining me today or tonight or whenever you decided to hit that play button or turn on that radio dial. I really appreciate it, y'all. Special shout out to T, the Queen, for being the first on the scene to check in. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, love. Thank you for being here. Give me some Phil Collins anytime, Ash. You know what? As soon as I saw the announcement come out, I knew that something was going to be in the air. So I'm so glad to have my good friend, as well as the commissioner of the SFL, here with me this evening to kind of be able to decipher what's all in the air tonight. What's going on, man? How are you?
What's up, Ashley? Is there any song that goes from 0 to 100 better than Phil Collins in the air tonight? Huh? That's it.
Not
It's
too
the
many.
best 0 to 100. It's never been beaten. It's
Mm-mm.
wonderful.
Mm. It just it gets you in that mood, just.
Me
Oh.
and you did the drum solo at the same time. I wasn't on the air, but I saw me and you both did it. So, uncoordinated.
Next time we'll work on that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Gary. Don't
Yeah,
worry
we'll
about
work
it.
on it.
First, thank you for being here. I really appreciate your time. I know that you are very, very busy, especially with all of the endeavors, everything, that you're doing, family life, it's a lot going on. So, before I start with all of my hard hitting questions, um,
Hey, they're pretty hard hitting.
yeah, yeah,
You
they
got to
are.
start me slow and then ramp me up.
No, that song should have got
Like Phil
you in.
Collins.
That, that song should let you know.
Yeah, that's right.
So I want to know, like, how, first of all, with everything that you have going on with the UFL starting up and all of that, how have you been faring so far?
Well, every game has been played and nothing's been moved or postponed or needed to be worked around. So I think it's going okay. Um, I think that a lot of times, or I've heard from the community that, oh well, all the the game, we don't have games tonight because of X, Y, and Z. Well, it's still 12 games over 15 weeks. And if the UFL wasn't there, we still wouldn't have games on those nights. It's every team has 3 buys over a 15-week period, and the brilliance in the scheduling, not to toot my own horn, but I think I'm a pretty good scheduler, especially with all that's going on.
Mm,
So because of the scheduling, it looks like nights are being gobbled up or taken away, but they're really not. The SFL is still Fridays through Mondays, January through May and July through November. And the UFL has a sliding schedule of two production blocks every 6 days. And that'll continue throughout the season, throughout the SFL season, once we get to May. And then in the summertime, the UFL will take a more primary role. Right now, the SFL is in the primary position because it's mostly, 4 nights a week or 3 nights a week or whatever. But the SFL schedule is still 12 games over 15 weeks. And so we just used creatively ways to put buys in the schedule for teams. And then instead of me sipping some Mai Tai somewhere, never had a Mai Tai in my life. I instead, we're doing more production and offering more content on the channel. So I think it's going okay. I think we set ourselves up for success.
okay. So, what are your thoughts? Would you ever consider switching the SFL over to the same gaming engine as the UFL?
It's up to the
The same
teams.
game.
It's up to the team ownership. I'm not going to shove some game down their throat like I did the first time. I did it out of necessity. I knew that it was going to take forever to get everyone to agree on any certain thing, and in order to save the league, because I was no longer going to continue it on APF, I just had to make the decision and go.
Yeah.
So at this point, I don't have to make that decision because I think operations on 2K4 are going great. I think the new hexed playbooks, while there's a couple of game plans out there where things get a little kind of wonky and weird, by and large, it has diversified our teams and the way they play on both sides of the ball. It has given teams more personality in the style in which they play. I think that has been a major benefit to the league and to our gameplay and everything going on. So I personally think this has been the best SFL season in a long time. But if the teams wanted to make that change, they would have to put in a significant amount of work and effort to make that change because it is a very that mod in Madden took 5 years. So when we're talking about changing over a game and trying to supplement incomes and all and trying to mod those individual teams, you take 5 years and divide it by 25, and that's about how long you could expect it might take, especially if you're not familiar with how to mod. Just because you can mod something on 2K4 doesn't mean that you can mod something on Madden, not because it's more difficult or easier, but because it's a different game with different code, with different ways to import and export files and a lot of that. So there's a lot that goes into what it would take to move. And I'm not certainly I have no reason to put anybody through that. So if the teams wanted to put themselves through that because they saw some sort of benefit to them by doing so, then I would be interested in doing that with them. But if they don't want to do it, I certainly am not going to force them and don't see a huge need to force them right now in any way.
And you wouldn't want to do all that work by yourself either.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do all that because, and what happened actually is that I did a lot of the work for a lot of the teams to help them move and transition from APF to 2K4. We worked on Tulsa Stadium. We worked on Sioux Falls' uniforms. We worked on Vegas's stadiums and uniforms. We worked on Jacksonville stadiums and uniforms. We worked on all these teams, and none of them are here anymore. Because ultimately, what the transition showed is that if the team was not excited or enthusiastic about putting in that effort, they didn't have that ownership over any of it, and that's important, right? When you own a team, when you're operating a team, it's your team, and it's your sort of badge to wear. And me coming in and me and other people around the league designing uniforms and stadiums and all that, it proved that if you don't do it yourself, there's just not enough pride and in ownership, and it's just going to fall apart anyway. So lessons learned. I'm not going to go out and do it all for everybody, but if it's something that they would want to do, I would certainly be interested because we're very familiar in the space and we're testing proof of concept. So it really is up to the teams and how much additional time and effort they would want to put in, because they already put in a great deal of time and effort.
Got it. All right. So we're going to switch gears a little bit before I go back to the game. I want to talk about the SFL community check-in form that that I put out just to kind of do like a health check to see what's going on, because in my position there have been a lot of different people from different positions. I'm trying to bring this up, that come to me and tell me like, hey Ash, I'm not sure if I'm going to be here next season. Well, why not? What's going on? Yeah, I'm just not seeing the looks I want. Most of it has been from the defensive players, and we'll get back to that in a minute. So because I was hearing, from a few people, I felt like maybe other people felt that way, which is why I put out the Google form to kind of, test the temperature of the community and see what's going on. But thank you first off to everybody that actually took the time out to fill this out. I really
Thank you
appreciate
very
it.
much. Yeah.
Um, mhm. The majority of the persons that filled this out were players. About 10% were owners, 21% was front office staff. I'm sorry, 26.9% were front office staff, 12.8% were owners, and the rest were players. So there was also some non-players sprinkled in there too. So now, first question was, how long have you been a member of the SFL community? There are some people that said less than a year, just started this year, to, let me see, the longest tenure was 9 seasons. So, Cam, what do you think about people just being here, for this long, especially something like 9 seasons?
Well, they've
Oh,
they've
since
seen a lot.
10? Oh, I'm seeing a whole. Wait
Yeah,
a
there's
minute.
I saw an 11 in there. Yeah, I mean, look,
Yeah.
these people have seen they've seen existential growth. They've seen us on television. They've seen us change games. They've seen people come and go and come back and go and come back. They've seen, different ownership changes. They've seen rebrands and refreshes, and they've seen the Seattle Tyrants rebrand and change hands like 5 times. They've seen it all. They've seen a lot. And so it's just great to see that that diversity. And what's interesting, Ashley, is because of all that growth and because of all of the changes and evolutions and things over 24 seasons, almost everybody's experience here has been different. Depending upon when you came in, depending upon what type of era you were in at the time. And for some people, it was really great to start. And then it was, it's not as good now. And for other people, it really wasn't all that good to start. It was kind of bumpy. And now, things are in a better place and their players are better and they're a big time player with their team. So that's part of the challenge in customer satisfaction is that so many people have had so many different experiences. And ultimately, with a product, you want everyone to share similar experiences and you want it to be similar for every person. I would say that out of necessity, with growth and life things that have come up and all that stuff, I would say that at times we've not been able to accomplish that. But we're doing the best we can. It's just great to see so many diverse users and responses to their current experience.
Indeed. Another one was good. Why did you decide to become a member of the community? It seemed fun. Look cool. Channel. That's got to be good. As soon as you put in Simulation Football League, it can just pop up #1 on Google. That's always dope. Friends came over from East Sims Wrestling League, and I followed. Marco Swift told me about it, and I watched the games, really intrigued. YouTube looked like fun. Most of our answers here seems like they either found it randomly searching YouTube, or their friends or family brought them over. Maybe they were involved in another sim league, but that was the most that I found, which I also thought was interesting because you have everything that you have, but pretty much by word of mouth, if you think about it. I mean, of course, we were on television. We had all of these things going on, but really, it all started with just word of mouth and getting it out there. So that has to feel good too, right?
Yeah, and even stumbling across it, Tim Johnston, the owner of Baltimore, many, many moons ago, just stumbled across us on Twist, somebody else playing all pro. And, the league kind of took off from there. That was our first big sort of boost, right? Because we only had 7 people at the time for a year. So, yeah, I mean, it's word of mouth, it's recommended videos, YouTube algorithms. Our channel is, I know it has less than 10,000 subscribers, but that puts us in the top 2%, about 8.3 thousand subscribers of YouTube channels, because there's a lot of YouTube channels out there that don't have the traction that we do. So it is a major accomplishment. and every once in a while we get a bump in that algorithm and you see a video kind of spike and you see a lot of comments and you see, new people come from that. So yeah, I mean, that's been the strategy. I come from a background, newspaper background, where the best content is free content. The best advertising is free advertising. If you have a good story, and you don't have to pay to get the story out there, and it's such a good story that somebody wants to do a feature on you and you don't really have to do anything, ultimately that's your best bang for your buck, because your customer acquisition cost is zero. So the longer we can keep our customer acquisition cost at zero, the less we're going to have to spend in advertising and the less money we're going to have to raise to make those efforts. And I, for one, am not really a big proponent of raising current players' rates in order to help fund ad campaigns, which only bring in more players and make the players that are already here less special. That just seems like a scam, right? So it's not really something that's really ever interests me, because when you think about it, that's exactly the sort of cycle that would take place there.
Didn't consider that, but makes sense. Now, this question is interesting. How satisfied are you with your overall experience with the SFL community? This ranged from 10 out of 10, very satisfied, to no, somewhat satisfied. I would say 8 out of 10. So. Community is great in the locker room, haven't engaged much in other channels. Better earlier on, boring the last 4+ seasons, to the point of apathy. The league is second best thing in my life. My family is first, and the SFL and the SFL community is second. The experience is fun, but I have been dismayed at the moving of the goalposts regarding the Dev League, salary bonuses, etc. I think when my player was created, it was the worst possible time, as I missed out on getting $2 million to spend on minor league prices, and my defensive double a stat bonus deleted from the plans in real time. Very limited options and bonuses for young players trying to break starting lineups, while those who stay in the minors were rewarded. Dev team scoring touchdowns, for example. Looking for things kind of like that. So happy, although there are small improvements. I'm looking for, because I would say most of this form was all positive. So I'm looking for ones that were not positive, and maybe we can kind of dive into those. But most of them, these are, I'm satisfied. I wish the game was better. Fair could be better, but could also be worse. So what do you think of some of these responses? Because I do know that you have them pulled up in front of you as well.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone that you read there that was, I guess you could call negative. I'm not going to call it that. I just don't know what the word is. Trending down, I guess we can call that. Every one of those ones that you read is totally valid. I don't have any qualms with anything that any of them said. I think that the whole pro dev minor league situation is just a byproduct of having so many customers to try and keep happy, that when you make if everyone's not a 99, right, or everyone's not a 90 plus and everyone's not a starter, I mean, they feel like they're lesser than. And unfortunately, that is a byproduct of having 700 players, because if we only had 400 players, well, then everyone would be a starter, right? And so it unfortunately, we just get caught in this cycle of, well, look, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. There's already 25 starting quarterbacks. You want to be a great quarterback, but there's no room. And that is a frustrating problem for me. And one of the ways to solve it is to start a second league so that there's more opportunities for people. It may not be in the same place, but at least, there's opportunity out there to do something similar. But I think all that is valid. And I think that, Alex West is trying to put in some positive change. He needs time. Some of the stuff is out of his control. I actually just talked with our programmer earlier today. Told him our top priority is, hey, we really need to get it fixed so that we can create a third league on the portal, because that's what Alex is trying to do. He's trying to get dev costs to be different than rookie costs. He's trying to get dev costs to be different than pro costs. He's trying to make it more fair for everyone, because the person that said, I built my player at the worst possible time. They're right. Sometimes you come in the league and based on how many users there are in which league, or, how many users were in the last draft class compared to this draft class. You could totally get, just bad timing with trying to find a spot and a role that you're satisfied with. So, I think better days are ahead. It's been kind of a rough season in that area for sure. And that's not Alex's fault. He's working with the cards that he was dealt, but the, all of those thoughts and frustrations, and I wish the game was better. And so do I. So I wish I could get in there and I could rework all the code and I could fix things. And, I could do things like that. I just, at this point, can't. I wanted to go back to what you said, Ashley, something about defensive players not being happy with their look. Do you mean like they can't see themselves?
Meaning that okay, so they're saying that the offenses or some of the wide receivers, they're overpowered. So
the wide receivers are overpowered.
Yes.
Why?
That
I
was
think
one
if you
of
ask wide receivers, they'd say the DBs are overpowered because they can't catch anything. I don't know. I hear from wide receivers that DBs are overpowered. So that's a tough one, Ashley. It might just be a wash.
Or maybe I'm just delivering the messages there. I just, Yeah. Now, what do you say about this one? Because I was scrolling down and we did have, like I said, a lot of responses per question. So
sure.
As I was scrolling, the product is lacking. Deeper immersion is needed. And then poor graphics hurt. SFL community is great. Need to catch up with the times. Poor graphics hurt.
Probably talking
those
about
are all the other ones. Yeah.
What'd you say, Ashley?
As far as the deeper immersion is needed, it says the overall product is lacking. Deeper immersion is needed. Progression is way too delayed. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I thought you were reading more. I was just.
Well, no. I'm sorry.
Did you want me to comment on any of those that you just read? Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know what deeper immersion means, but I certainly agree with the general sentiment. That's one of the reasons why I threatened to find teams that didn't have their logos on fans and things in this offseason, because that's part of immersion too. When you show up to a game and someone's got San Diego Chargers gear on, that's not really immersing you in the product. That may not be what they meant. But I certainly feel like immersion is, one of our top, if not our top priority in making a great product. If you're not dropped into a new world and you don't feel pulled into a new world, then it's not immersing you in it. And that's a big problem. So in general, I agree with that. And what other people said, progression being delayed. Again, I don't necessarily know what that means. If they're talking about, costs and having money to afford things and that type of stuff, I get it. I understand. And we'll continue to look at, how to make the incentive program, tweak the incentive program to be better or more balanced. I already have somebody on that is, made it their passion at the beginning of the season. I want to know how much money is going to each position, each season and whatever, so that we can look at it. I said, great, please track that, because it takes me 45 minutes a week to do the incentives in general. So to track all of the money that's going to each position, I've already spent enough time, making sure that I'm going through all those stats and I'm getting all the payouts put out and all that stuff. So, I know that things are going to get better. And I think the best thing I can say is that, we were on All Pro for 20 seasons, and the vast majority of people, let's take the person that's been here 11 seasons. That means they got here in season 14. That means that they weren't around for the first 7 years of APF. And I can guarantee you that in the first 7 years of APF, we dealt with a lot of the same things that we're dealing with now. When you're putting new systems in place, and when you're doing new things and changing up rules and allowing different adjustments, to how things are played, all we're doing is looking for the optimum way to run this league through this game. And there's it just takes time to see how it all looks, to try new things, right? We would have been faster to get to the point of normalcy if we hadn't had tried the hex book playbook rules, but we'd never know if we didn't try. So that's another season of development and seeing what that all looks like. So, I think most of these things are very valid concerns and in many ways justifiable concerns. I can't demand your patience, but I ask for it as the product continues to evolve. But if it's evolving too slow for you, I totally understand, and you won't get any flack from me. I just wish I could move faster for you.
How satisfied are you with the realism and mechanics of the gameplay? Fairly happy with it, satisfied overall, not satisfied. It does not look or feel real, and the gameplay is terrible. 6 out of 10. Gameplay is good for the game we use. I know a lot of people prefer Madden. Don't know how the two AIs differs in playing the games. If you have that information, would love to know. As long as I feel the game is fair, I can deal with the wins or loss and still support the community. My big problem is when there are agreements that are not in the rules and that they are broken. If there is an agreement on a known issue, the commish should the commish should set out a rule. That was my issue with the Florida over Canton championship game. I had no issue with the Mexico City over Canton game. Interesting enough, I had more close friends on Florida than I do on Mexico. They understood why I was upset. Okay, so I'm not. Okay, so the biggest problem is when there are agreements that are not in the rules that are broken. Do you want to elaborate on that? Because maybe I'm missing something.
Well, let's start with I don't know how the two AIs differ. If you have that information, I'd love to know. Mm-hmm. Both games have alarmingly similar AI. They really do. When you look at how APF played, 2K4 played, Madden plays, it is shocking how once we had access to Madden's AI and could actually kind of see under the hood a little bit, it was a lot of things that were happening in the SFL started to make more sense, right? I'll give you an example. There is I've called it this before on air. I call it a give up zone, but I think its technical term is conservative yardage. And what that means is that in the code, if there is a certain amount of time on the clock and it's a certain score and you're on a certain yard line, you will not necessarily try to score because the risk outweighs the reward in trying to score. So for example, if you're up 7, but you're on your own 15-yard line, the risk in trying to go 85 yards in 90 seconds far outweighs the reward of potentially scoring a touchdown, because your odds are very slim that you're going to do that with the amount of time that you have. And as you try to push and press down the field, you could throw an interception. And if your opponent gets an interception, they're immediately in scoring position. And so the game has code that says, look, if we're this far away with this amount of time, we should probably just chill, right? And so we didn't really understand before why at the end of a first half, a team would complete a pass to the 41-yard line and they wouldn't call a timeout. And they didn't seem to be in a rush. And the broadcasters say, well, what are they doing? Why aren't they trying to go for it? And before diving into this code, we didn't really understand. Well, once we see that this code exists in Madden, it starts to make sense what we're seeing in 2K. Oh, so if the give up code is here, that's why they have not reached a yardage threshold to call that timeout. It's all base code and it affects all 25 teams. So the difference between the two AIs is really not anything that is actually in the code. The difference is, can we change the code or can we not change the code? And in the UFL, I can change the code. And in the SFL, I can't change the code for now. But there could be new technology that comes about to where, PS2 games, there's a program built that can get you access to that code. To my knowledge, it does not exist. If it does exist and someone knows out there, please let me know, because I would immediately go in and see all the bad code and rewrite it, right? So that we can have better gameplay. So I don't think that it exists. If it did exist, then that would be interesting. But it's not the end all be all of everything. It's just a difference. But by and large, the AIs are surprisingly similar. It's just all about what you can live with and what you can't live with. And if there are things in there that we can't live with, it's kind of like, well, we don't have any leverage. What are we going to do about it, right? If we don't have the ability to change it. So they're really not all that different. If that's surprising to say. The Florida Canton Championship game, I mean, look, there wasn't a rule put in place for wide receivers getting carries. Florida didn't do anything that wasn't within the rules. It certainly looked odd and strange. And obviously the league put in a rule the following season because when the league sees something that's kind of a fluke and no one really jumps on the train, it's not really a big deal. But when the league sees something that is obviously a good strategy and can see the writing on the wall that if we don't do something about this, every team is going to do it and every team is going to look exactly the same, that's not a good product. And so that's us stepping in and saving the teams from themselves, because all the teams are trying to do is win. But in the effort to win, they would all just be creating an identical product. And that's not good for the league as a whole. So we come in and we step in and we take care of it. And look, since we've done that, 3 teams have toed the line and all those teams have gotten suspended. And in both of the first 2 suspensions, they suffered a loss. And it remains to be seen whether the third suspension, which is Albuquerque, from their last game, will result in a loss over these next 2 games that they have. So, I think that by and large, it's been kiboshed, and that's our job, to find loopholes and exploits that teams are using that feel overpowered and unbalanced, and to put rules in place to correct them. So I think that I think that preferring Madden or not preferring Madden is it's all the same AI. It's just a matter of can we fix it to match what we're using it for, or can't we? That's the only difference.
Well, I guess if we are all willing to put in that work and see, we'll find out. But the likelihood, I don't know. The likelihood of all of the owners and all of the coaches really putting forth that effort to make that switch over after you explain everything that will go into it, that will be necessary, that will be needed. I don't know.
And Ashley, maybe they might in a few years, but they've already put in a lot of work into this current product, and so that would be a tough pill to swallow.
It would.
To say, all right, we're done here, and we're going to start all over again.
Let's go learn something else.
Yeah, I don't think that's a realistic expectation out of players, and it's certainly, remember when we made the switch. There was a specific reason why we didn't look to Madden. And that specific reason was because that felt like too dramatic of a change. This league was built and founded on 2K football and 2K AI and 2K playbooks, and moving from 2K to 2K4 was a very, I know it feels weird to say, but a very minor change considering, because two companies build two games that are similar, but logistically are very, very different in the way that they work. For example, 2K has their set list of attributes. Well, Madden has all sorts of different attributes that are either called something, do not work the same as they do in 2K, or are attributes that nobody has, or that 2K doesn't have. And so just the simple thought of, well, how do we take our current player builds and transfer them properly over into Madden? Even that question is a tremendous hardship. I mean, how do you make that choice? How do you make that decision? And obviously, the one example of that from 2K to 2K4 was leadership. And the one example of 2K8 not having something and 2K4 having something, and what are we going to do about it, has been the bane of the existence for 2 years, right? And so imagine having that times 15 going over to another platform. So I think if I was a player in this league, what I would want you to know tonight in regards to this subject is, you understand what it would take out of your team leadership, who has worked very, very hard to get their teams even just to this point in season 24, what it would take as an undertaking to port their team over like that. It would be a massive, not saying it's impossible, but it would be a massive undertaking. And actually, tech is changing all the time. For example, the league is working right now with a developer on widening the camera of 2K4 so that you can see more of the field during broadcasts. And that was a request put in by a lot of coaches and a lot of defensive players. That's why I was asking about what they meant earlier. Is I can't see my player. He's off screen, right? Well, and I can't, it's hard to scout defense. It's off screen. I can't see. So we're working with a developer right now to make that a reality. And if that can become a reality, maybe adjusting AI code can become a reality. Maybe, putting in new player models can become a reality. I'm not saying anything is impossible. But in some ways we're waiting on either technology or people smarter than us to come up with some new cool stuff. And it's our job to keep our ear to the ground, I guess. So there's some exciting things coming, but it's I don't know where I started, but I know where I finished. Ashley, that happens to me quite often.
It's okay. It's okay. You finished up perfectly. While you were talking, I was looking at the next question. What of the aspects of it's kind of similar to the last one, but what aspects of game planning and progressions need the most attention and improvement? Now, this one, the most pressing need is the league must address. It's the proper billing notification system for their SFL subscription that gives a player a warning that their expiration date is coming. Being suddenly surprised with the news of an expired sub and a limited deadline date to re up or be removed from an active roster is borderline insane. You want to address that first?
Well, we are using a third-party program. It's not a program that we developed. It's if they put out a feature that would allow that, or do have a feature that would allow that, that's something that we can continue to look at. I believe that it is possible to put something like that in, but I think it's like an email notification system, but there's certain thresholds that we have to meet in terms of number of customers and things like that. I haven't looked at it. Honestly, I haven't looked at it in a while. So that's something that I can double check and look. I don't necessarily agree that it's insane. I think it's insane that if you subscribe to something on the 12th, you just don't make a note or something. I mean, it's 800 customers. I would love to have an automated system to help all 800 people, but at the same time, you're just one person. So if it's something that is important to you, that is going to expire in the meantime, please, by all means, make a note, jot it down somewhere, put it on your phone, put a reminder once a month, every time on your phone. It's something that takes 5 seconds. But we will look into that. We will look into maybe some new or added features that our third-party system has. So that's something. That was that one thing. Did I miss another one?
No, but I was going to add to that. This person also says, I'm also opposed to the limiting of the team books as the season progresses, to in essence make it easier on defensive coordinators. Open it up and invite the game plan variety and creativity.
Why are you laughing?
So, because, oh my God, I just heard Eddie, and I didn't hear.
Oh, you heard Eddie in your head.
Yep.
Okay, now I know why you're laughing.
Yes.
Yeah, look, I put that rule in at the request of teams.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, you know what? Let's try something different. And the main reason that rule exists is because coaches, I heard from lots of coaches who said, I don't know what the point of scouting is if in week 14, when I'm trying to win a game to clinch a playoff spot, I work all week long to scout what a team has put on film for the first 13 weeks. And I show up in that week 14 and that team looks completely different. What is the point? And that was a great point, I thought. If we're going to be a league that has coaching staffs that spend that amount of time and in that amount of competitive spirit on game planning, then we need rules that allow for that to better occur. So the rule is a compromise. You can run any book that you want for the first 6 weeks. But after that, you have to hone in a little bit more on an identity that you're wanting to put out there. And mark my words, there will be teams that late in the season will attempt to look completely different than they've looked, even though they're using the same base book. They're deleting formations and they're doing things to get different looks. So it's not going to, we're still going to see teams come out with a shocker. But it'll be much harder to pull off because teams are going to know, well, if they do this, if they pull out a shocker, I know at least what base they're going to use it with. And so I can replicate what their team might look like if they come out and delete all of their shotgun, or delete all of their I formation, or delete, and that's something that they can better prepare for. So it is a compromise rule. I can understand the all or nothing approach. And quite frankly, I don't care. It was just at the request of coaching and hearing those pleas of, please make this valuable and make this a part of strategy again, that rule was put in place. So
Okay, good to know it was asked for. I thought that maybe that was something that you did, just trying to.
no, I don't care. Listen, the game is the game. I don't care what kind of game plan you're putting out there or what a burden you are onto your opponent. That's everybody else's problem. I'm just here to make sure the signal is good and that you can hear the broadcasters and that I load the right playbooks and everything is in the right place. All the textures are good and all that other stuff. I mean, whatever game plan you got, what does it matter to me? So that's not really in my on my priority list.
All right then. How satisfied are you with the league's rules, regulations, and fairness, game related and community related? These, of course, mixed answers, no real complaints, all fine, 7 out of 10. It's all good to me. But wide receivers at halfback should be banned. Period. It's not realistic. It's only used to skirt a rule implemented to curb an exploit. What are your thoughts on that?
I can understand it. That rule is put in for player diversity, getting more players different touches, showing different looks, just being different and unique. If your wide receiver 1 has 12 catches and also has 8 carries, that's not really the spirit of the rule, because it's designed to get some different looks out there and potentially get some players some touches that maybe they wouldn't otherwise have. It's very difficult to impose a rule that certain players cannot get carries on a team, because if you say, well, the top 2 receivers on the depth chart can't get carries, well, then the teams change up their depth chart so that the best players are not the top 2 players. You could say, well, the top 2 players on your team at wide receiver can't get carries, but then the league has to track who those are. And again, like, I'm not trying to make extra work here. But I can understand how, look, if all they're doing is just trying to get their best players more touches and more, proper situations, then I can understand, why that person would like to see it banned. At this time, I don't have a particular lean as to whether or not I think that it's good or bad. I think it's balanced for now. And I think if it starts to become a significant issue, then it'll move higher up the priority list. But I think that the SFL has a lot more things that it could address at the moment than that particular rule. I think it's okay. Don't really have an opinion one way or the other.
Okay. How responsive and helpful do you find the SFL's league staff support and moderators? Mostly good marks. Unsure. From what I observed, they seem to be fairly quick and responsive. There was one. I'm sure you saw this one too. Where was it? Every interaction I've had with the staff has been very swift and supportive. Where is it? There's so many. Oh, there it is. While she is a great member of the community.
That's you, Ashley.
There is a growing faction of the league that thinks Ashley Jackson is too harsh on people that have negative opinions about a player, a team, and or the league as a whole. I'll take that in consideration.
Didn't expect it to get turned around on you, did you, Ashley?
I already knew that. As soon as I put it up there, I knew something.
Sure.
I was going to get mentioned in there at some point.
It's natural. Any of us can let someone down at any time.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
And I actually I was in a DM today with a player that sent me a DM July of last year and was upset about what was going on with his player. And 5 days went by and he did not receive a response. And the response to me was, hey, maybe if this was Mike Daggs or Eddie Gage, like, you'd care more. And the reason why it bothered me is because I just noticed today that I never responded. And one of the reasons I never responded is because those messages came July 7th and July 12th, the week before the convention and during the convention. And so earlier today, I sent an email and I apologized, or not an email, but a DM, and apologized. And I said, listen, I'm really sorry that this happened. I'm just now seeing this. And it happened because they had joined the UFL and I had needed to send them a message for something that was unrelated. And I saw the history of messages and I thought, holy crap, this got buried somehow. And so I said, look, I'm really sorry this happened. This is probably the busiest time for our very small administrative staff, because almost every year, all of our administrative staff is at the convention. And so we're not necessarily in tickets or in DMs or in, we're focused on the people who have paid for flights, paid for hotel rooms, took time off of work, right? We're there to entertain them and to make sure that they are well accommodated. And if you're not at the convention and you're in need of support, that's a weakness of ours, because we just don't, unless we have a body that has stayed back and stayed behind, which is rare, we're just not there. We're just not around. And so I said, by the time I got back, your DM was probably 40 down the sheet. That's why we have a ticketing, program, so that it doesn't, get lost in the shuffle like that. But still, to my point, we all have the ability to let you down, because it slips through the cracks. And there's nothing we can do but say, we're human and we're sorry. And hopefully, it goes better for you the next go around. So, so yeah, it's totally, I'm sure you've let people down just like I have. It's just when
and they let me know.
It's
some of them are brave enough to, they were like, oh, you did this. And I would rather you come talk to me than you go in the side servers and
those are my favorite people.
Clicks,
Yeah. Come talk to me. Just tell me what a piece of crap job I did. At least I know. At least you don't think that I'm not going to think about that before I go to sleep? Like, yeah, I will. It does matter. If you just leave and don't make your voice heard, I'll give you an example. Telemax Scarborough left the server this week. I have no idea why. He was in the league for like 6 years. Just didn't say anything. Just bye. I don't know why. I really don't. I don't know if it was something I did, something the team did, something that was going on in his life. Hopefully he's okay, right? I mean, when you're a community member of this long standing, Telemac, if you're out there somehow watching for some reason, I hope you're okay, man. Hope you're okay. And I wish that I knew if I could have done anything differently. Maybe I couldn't have, but please always, you're not a burden to let me know of your opinion. And if you want to do it anonymously, like in this community forum, that's great too, because we don't know who any of these people are.
No, we really don't. And to whoever who wrote this, my thought process behind the decisions that I make is I want to be fair about it across the board. And what I feel that people fail to realize is that sometimes when they are talking crap and when they're doing this to other people, they're not realizing that it's actually hurting that person that they're talking to, or it's hurting that team, or it's even hurting the league in a certain way. And so when you are, especially if you are in a position like ownership, or if you are a front office member, you have these responsibilities to uphold to your team, to your players, and even to, to the shield, because that's what you represent. And it is difficult to make decisions sometimes, um, but you also have to make sure that you're doing it as fair as possible. And I just make sure that everybody is well aware, that needs to know what's happening. And like you said, you can't make everybody happy. I am in this mindset where I already know that I'm not going to make a lot of people happy. Um, Eddie told me a long time ago that he did not want me to take this position because I've become one of the most hated people in the league. Um, but I knew you needed help, and I knew that I had the capacity to be able to do it, especially working with human resources and working in different various things in my own life. Of course, I could do this. So
Ashley, if
it's just
they think you're too harsh, get a load of the UFL code of conduct, because it's way worse than all the chances that you give people.
mm,
Just to summarize, these rulings are final with no arbitration and no reentry into the community. If you enjoy participating in the gray area of rules and trolling users on the internet, your conduct is not welcome here. These rule applies to all team locker rooms and public channels. That's just the end of it. I mean, just appreciate what you have when you have it, because some people just don't have a tolerance for any of your garbage. Not saying that person has been even involved in anything with you, but yeah, just Ashley's a very nice lady. I think that's apparent from all of her shows, even if she eats weird stuff.
I'm weird. I'm definitely weird. What are your thoughts on the broadcast and stats team? Actually, everything is pretty much positive. Um, I'm looking for something to kind of like a moment of like an opportunity, of anything. Do you see anything on here?
Yeah, I have one.
What's that?
This one stood out to me when I was reading through. Stats teams should be abolished. They only gather stats for live games. That's true.
Yeah.
And I don't believe it adds much to the overall presentation. The game already pops in with more accurate stat information randomly. I think that, plus making the broadcasters themselves responsible for keeping a simplified version of the stats, would be more than enough. For instance, making the color commentators responsible for writing down the yardage mark where each drive starts, counting the plays, and each drive is easily possible. As for the broadcasters themselves, I think there's a wide talent gap that isn't addressed. I honestly believe some of these broadcasters should not be allowed on air, but are pressured into action due to need and placed onto games that are likely to be blowouts. So I want to address some of those things. They only gather stats for live games. That's true. I would like that to change. I would like that to be better. That is something that is frustrating for me. I could get in the weeds on stat programs for American football globally because I'm very familiar with this space, but I think I might bore people. Maybe someone in the chat can say, yes, I would love to hear about the world American football stats shortage. But otherwise I'll just keep it brief and move on. Long term, I would like for our web developer Football Shift to implement live stats for American football. And I have volunteered my time and services to help them build that. They have it for hockey and soccer and baseball, but they don't have it for American football, primarily due to its complexity and because they have more clients in these other sports. And so those other sports are a higher priority for them. If the website had live stats built into its backend, then the live statisticians would become the responsible box score party. And immediately when the game would be over, the box score would be on the website right away.
Mhm.
And we wouldn't have to wait for stats. Now, they might not be 100% accurate because we're not a computer and we're human and we make human errors, but that's the trade-off, right? And so if the stats team were to be abolished, when that opportunity arises and comes up, that we have the opportunity to actually integrate it in within our website. You could watch stats in real time. We could pull that information in real time, into our broadcasts and all this stuff, just like we do now. If we abolish that stats team, then we would have no starting point for that program.
Mhm.
But learning how to do stats and having so many people around the league learning how to do stats in this program will make the next program feel like a breeze because they know how to do it all already. And it's actually gotten much easier. Whereas if you're having to train a bunch of people on how to do a stats program on a website from scratch, well, that's more difficult. And so stats is not just a play for the short term and the now, but it's a long-term play as well to build up a base of people so that when those features become available to us, whether it's through our web provider Football Shift or a different party that we eventually switch to, which I have no reason to because we're happy with Football Shift's product and pricing, then we're in a position to immediately hit the ground running. So that's just something that on the surface seems a little misguided, but is, that's a big reason why that program continues to exist. And obviously because, it helps our broadcasters focus on the game so that they're not looking down at a sheet and tracking numbers and missing replays or doing, whatever the case. But I mean, again, I understand why, if you're talking about the current system, why someone might think, just get rid of it. It's too much of a headache. It's too, but it's not just about now. The other part was the wide talent gap that isn't addressed. They're pressed into action. So just so you know, broadcasters voluntarily put in their time. Every week they are asked for their availability. And they have from Sunday night to Tuesday night to put in their availability for the next week. And so they volunteer for specific times and specific days. Now, whatever matchups they get is based on their availability. They are not given a specific game based on what matchup we think is going to be most interesting or might be a blowout or whatever the case may be. And Mike Daggs, the director of broadcasting, handles that scheduling. So if there's two matchups on a Friday night that are just not very attractive, and that's the only time that someone is available, if they get a game that is not very attractive, it's not because we put them there. It's because that was a time that they made themselves available. And if they don't make themselves available, then they are not scheduled. And so there's never an issue where a broadcaster is pressed into action unless a broadcaster is willingly giving up their time to fill in for someone who no longer can fulfill their obligation. And sometimes you might get a sub, just like a substitute teacher, that doesn't necessarily know the kids as well as the regular teacher knows the kids, that hasn't done as much prep for lesson planning as the regular teacher has done prep for lesson planning, because they were thrust into action 30 minutes before because somebody had an illness in the family, or they were running late and were stuck in traffic, or whatever the case may be, that someone had to be put into action. So unless there is that situation that arises, no one's being forced into a particular game or a particular time slot or a particular anything. They're being scheduled based on their own availability. So again, this is not a knock on the person's opinion of what's going on with the broadcast team. I'm just providing clarity to different theories that are not necessarily true. I don't belittle opinions on this show or anywhere else, right? It's your opinion. But if there's a situation like that where it's like, okay, I I can clean that up and make sure that the proper information is out there, I'm going to take the opportunity to do that. So that one stuck out to me because it's like, okay, maybe we should explain how that process works. I'm not sure how much of the community knows how that process works.
Good stuff. Good stuff. If you have a player or are involved with a team in any capacity, how do you feel about your locker room? There was one that stuck out to me, and I actually would like for this person to reach out to me if they choose to. If not, then I understand. I don't like my locker room. It is a very boys vibe. A woman doesn't really fit in. It's not super chatty unless it's a game day, but when it is, it's always like, "What's up, guys, fellas, boys," which shouldn't bother me in a male dominated league, but it does. Also, a man in the locker room keeps calling me pet names and using emojis like heart eyes and little hearts, etc., when speaking to me, knowing that I have a boyfriend in the league, and it makes me uncomfortable. I haven't reported him to anyone or asked him to stop outright because I don't want to make things awkward for everyone in case he feels offended. Now, no one, male, female, the whole spectrum, should feel uncomfortable in the locker room. I understand that people don't go out in general chat because they see all of the chatter, they don't want to get involved with it. I get that. But the locker room should be the one safe space that you have to be able to express yourself and to feel comfortable. I think that even though it is a male dominated league, I think that we all should be very mindful that we have various individuals. We're a melting pot league. We have various people that represent various cultures, beliefs, backgrounds, everything, genders. So I think it's important that we keep that in mind, especially everywhere, but especially in our locker rooms, because this is your family. This is your tight knit unit. And if it's one person that's feeling uncomfortable, I'm hoping that you went to your owners and that you went to your front office staff and let them know how you felt about this. But I definitely want anybody that's hearing my voice, especially if you're an owner, a front office member of the SFL, to really dive deep and look into your locker room and be mindful about the things that are being said in there. I'm not in there, so I don't know, but things like that bother me. And Kim, I don't know if you wanted to say something about that, but that one kind of hit home for me.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, listen, this is not serious enough for you to drag your weirdness about any, race or gender or whatever into our space. It's not, man, please leave that at the door. And like I say all the time, when men do some dumb crap, I'm like, hey man, you're making me look bad. Please chill out, because you're not helping. You're not helping the rest of us. We're stupid enough. We make enough mistakes as dudes. We don't need you making real dumb mistakes, making us look even worse. Please check it at the door. But I would, in a lighthearted note, I would love to see all the ladies of the SFL get together on one team, and you know what I mean, and just show them up, because I think that would be really awesome. Look,
we probably have enough to do it.
Maybe we're getting there. I mean, we should have been there a long time ago. It's really frustrating, but when you are in a league that's probably 90 to 95% male, it is very difficult to sort of pickaxe your way into making it a more 50-50 space, which is ideally what look, there's no reason why it couldn't be, because this is one of the reasons why the league was created in the first place. You've got men's basketball, you got women's basketball, you got men's football, you got women's football, soccer, baseball, softball, blah, blah, blah. There's always, the divide. We don't have to have a divide here. We don't have to have a women's sim football league and a men's. It's all together. So as I've said plenty of times on this show, I wish we had more women involved, but I understand, why it would have less appeal because there are, less women here. I know that the SFL has 6 staff members and 2 of them are women. And I know we don't have 33% women in this league. So I certainly believe in women leadership. And guys, if just, please treat these ladies with respect. That's about all I have to say on the matter.
All right. Now I'm going to kind of switch gears because the form actually kind of talks like it's more charts and graphs a little bit.
Sure.
So we're going to kind of switch over to some other questions that we've had from the league. Now, before I do that, it looks like we did have 23 comments that I missed because I was just so.
Whoa, 23. Come on,
Yes.
Ashley.
I'm not the best executive producer like you. You can do 12 things at once. Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Doug Day checking in. Chat rank error. Laugh out loud. T-Pad checking in. I do think it takes balls to do this and address issues live and in person, and I greatly respect that. And Doug Day says he wants to be taller.
Taller?
Taller,
Doug's
right.
plenty tall.
T the Queen says, hey, you need to set your reminder on your phone that this was about the subscription. Set your reminder. That's what I was saying. Put it on your calendar.
She said it harsher than I did.
Let's see. A lot of people, I guess as we were talking, they were agreeing with you. Skinny checking in. What's up, Skinny? Good to see you, dear. Always good to see you. Eddie, playing catch up, so I'm behind. And yes, scouting is pointless if we are going to allow unlimited playbooks. See,
yeah, you heard him. You didn't see it in the chat, but you knew he was there.
I knew he was there. Let's see. T-Pats, people with negative opinions about the league have negative opinions about the league staff. More at 11. So Skinny says, I left, but I tried to leave respectfully without a dust up. Okay. Keith Wheeler. Ashley, how can you be hated? You're a genuine human being. Hey, man. Yeah, listen, I'm probably one of the easiest people you will ever get along with in your life. And if you mess that up, bro, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm trying, man. Skippy says no.
Great context with that one.
Lady Power, I guess she's feeling that all girls team,
Sure.
Doug Day says let's do an expedition game on it. I mean, hey, I want to do it. I'd hate to put y'all on your place real quick. Hey, you two. Thanks for taking the time out to do this. What's up, Diggy? Good to see you, dear, as always. And Grant Hardaway checking in. Grant is always at everybody's. It doesn't matter what anybody's doing; he's always supporting it, and I really want to thank Grant. I wish I had the power to give you some extra incentive money, bro, but I don't. For always being at every show. I wish I can do that, but I can't. Cam?
So speaking of which, someone said it caught my attention in the community responses that someone said, the monotony of +3 gets old. Maybe we should do like +3 for Christmas and +1 for, like just throwing different like loot drops basically. And I don't think that's a terrible idea. It's just all about what we can manage. When you have 700 play, all the progressions, they get automatically spit out to me in a document, but I still have to put them in the game. And so it's not that we want to have monotony in +3. It's just that's what we have time for. That's what we know we can realistically pull off. And putting more random drops and stuff like that out there, especially if it's not automated, it's just a time issue. It's not a want to issue. It's just a time issue.
Gotcha. Skippy says, my no was to Cameron asking us to ask him about the stars and stuff. No. She used her
Stars?
entire government name too. Like, wow. Ace Blackwell checking in. What's good, man? Good to see you. All right, Cam. Let's get to some of these tough ones. Now, number one issue that I heard was attributes being too high. People can't progress what they needed to progress to make their player better because all of these attributes are just out of reach. It's going to take me 15 years to progress 1 point. You know what I mean? So, was the new change that you enacted kind of a way to deal with that problem? As far as having the teams to shed all the extra so that things could be more affordable.
Right. I don't know if that specific rule is necessarily going to have a dramatic impact in that area. I think it'll help, but it wasn't necessarily the intention of the rule. I think the current system addresses variety in builds, but because it is so different between each position, each player, where they are in their career, there's so many variables intentionally, right? But the downside of having so many intentionally different variables is that there will be a fraction of players who end up disproportionately disadvantaged by those varying variables, I guess is the best way to put it. And it's very difficult to hone in on one specific thing that would fix it all. Now, TPAT has the solution. Just make progression just like it costs the same as it does in the off season. Me and him have gone around in circles on that, and why I think that is bad for the league. So other than that solution, there's not, it's by design set to be a different experience for each individual player. But when you have lots of players, some players' experience will be poor, and some players' experience is I'm broke, I'm poor, I have no money, and I can't afford this. And to that I say, find a team that has some money that can help you. Because some teams have money and prioritize having money available to help and develop younger players. You don't have to hit the salary cap every offseason. You can come in $5 million under the salary cap and really not be that different of a team. Maybe -1 here, -2 there, right? You're not maxed in this category. You're just a little bit lower. And you can have a lot of money that doesn't go to your salary cap, that goes directly into your bank, that can be distributed out to players who are in need of development. Now, a player might say in response, listen, you can give me all the millions in the world, and I will run out of those millions very quickly because it's $250,000 to go +1 in something I really need, right? And for that player, I would say that that's where I would like to focus most of my time in trying to figure out how to better your build. And that is what the development team was all about, right? If you're a 72 overall and you not only need money, but you also need cheaper prices, that's why the dev team existed. But when you put those players on the dev team, then the rookies were poor and didn't have the money and couldn't buy the attributes. And so it's this domino effect, right? I think that having the dev team in their own league, in their own category, Giving rookies their $2 million prior to getting drafted rather than being, right after, like after being drafted. There's lots of different solutions here. But you want to be able to serve as many customers as possible without having every single customer be Superman and have all the same ratings. Because if they have all the same ratings, then none of it matters. None of the progression, none of your builds, none of the ability, it just doesn't matter. Because if everybody's out there running around with the same stuff, it's all a wash. And you as a player become less valuable to your team because they can just throw you out and get you another one or get them another one. And that's what we saw out of teams in the APF era. Not all, but we saw it enough to say this is not how we want customers to be treated. The teams hold all the leverage and they can just go to a player, you know what? We don't even need you. Bye. If you don't agree with what we're doing here or whatever the case is, we don't care. You can leave. Fine. We'll just go find another one. And I didn't like the way that people were being treated. So, it's a complex situation. It's a complex issue that we're constantly trying to get better at. And like I said earlier in the show, Alex West is working with the cards that he's dealt. We're working on getting him, some newer, better tools to help his cause, to help those type of players who are most disproportionately disadvantaged. The teams can help a little bit in the short term if they have the resources to do so. But ultimately, it starts with, your first day here, how you're able to grow and develop, what that program looks like, and how we're able to do that in a realistic way. And that has been the worst part of season 24 in our operations, because we just have not executed that in any way, shape, or form. And I know that a lot of players are frustrated, and I'm sure that when the time is right, Alex West and myself will figure out how to, in the best way we can, retroactively try to fix what was lost in the moments without the dev team, and the moments without, having prices that are realistic or affordable or things like that. So, season 24 in totality has been the best season in years. But if we're looking for flaws, that's the flaw. That's the big fat flaw right there. So, that's a totally frustrating experience that I think is valid.
So there seems to be a question as to whether a team can you be a contender? Can you be a championship contender under $50 million?
Sure. Why not? I mean, all you'd have to do, I haven't done it, but it'd be pretty easy. All you'd have to do is look back at who had the highest salary caps at the end of a season and check it against records. And I guarantee you that the best team did not have the fattest salary cap and the worst team had the lowest salary cap. There's probably some sort of trend where a higher salary cap is a better team. But you can also say that trend is only due to the fact that front office is getting the most out of the system that is put in place. And by getting the most out of the system that is put in place, they're driving up their salary cap, or the amount of money that their players are worth to the team, and inflating their value in the best possible way that they can within the system that they have, right? So they're utilizing all the tools and resources to help these players get maximum attributes, which is driving up the salary cap. And because those front offices are so resourceful, they're probably a part of an organization that is also finding success in other areas as well. So it's, it can be part of a reason, but it's not the end all be all. Pittsburgh beat Baltimore this season, I think. Lexington beat Florida. I mean, I could just pull it up now. I mean, Florida's at 63 million, Lexington's at 48 million, and Lexington won by 30. So what is it now? Right? It like I said, you could probably trend it into different directions that higher salary caps are equaling better teams, but it doesn't. It's not all cut the same. And knowing how the salary cap works, it's all standard deviation. Knowing how that all works, the only reason why a salary cap is bloated is because teams are obsessed with maxing out players. And getting the most out of their guys. And that's bloating all of the salaries and it's bloating all of their cap. Having 1 to 2 to 3 points extra on 1 to 2 to 3 attributes per player is not the reason why teams are winning football games. It may be one of the reasons why they're good at winning football games, but it's not the reason. I don't subscribe to that notion, and I think the whole system is of doing that is just a willingness to try to control what you can't control, to control the outcome. You're just pushing, you're turning the knob up to 10 and ripping it off, and you're breaking the toy. So I mean, and you're unable to develop young talent because you don't have any money. And some teams say, well, I don't care about developing young talent because we got a bunch of talent. Okay. Well, then, you're, going against, the spirit of what the league's trying to do by not having a bunch of players at max attributes. Well, I don't care what the league is trying to do because the rules are put in place in front of me. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use what I have in place to make the best team possible. Okay. Well, good for you. It doesn't much matter to me. But it's driving a narrative that somehow you're, these teams are exploiting something or giving themselves better odds to win. And I don't know, Ashley. I don't see it. I've been here 24 seasons. I just don't see it as the case. I think a lot of it is a mirage of control and brilliance. And you know what I mean? I mean, there's, obviously, if you have more attributes and you're better at stuff, you're going to be better. How much better, I don't think is tipping the scales dramatically. I still think that primarily this is, the coaches and front office members put players in positions to succeed constantly. And the teams that do the best job on and off the field at putting their players in the best position, whether that be financially through team banks or, skillfully through attributes, those are the best teams. Those are the teams that win most. And ultimately the champions do that the best, right? Usually every year. So just to summarize it, I think it's a combination of a lot of factors.
Just so you know, guys, I do see your questions. T-Pat, I know you had some questions. I'm going to get to yours. I did not forget. Keith, I see you have a couple. I will not forget. I just kind of want to blast through these right quick because they are kind of similar to some of the ones that you were asking anyway. And if you would like for me to further elaborate, I'd be happy to do so. So what do you say to teams that feel that applying these changes during the middle of the season will put them at a disadvantage?
Well, if I put it out there at the start of the season, the following season, then two things would happen. One, they'd complain that I put it out there at the end of the season when they weren't prepared for it. So it doesn't matter when I put it out, they're not going to be prepared. My favorite line of all time, being the SFL commissioner, is, I hate when you drop bombs like this. Well, the first time anybody ever tells you anything, they're dropping the bomb. Like, when am I supposed to tell you? In 3 weeks, I'm going to tell you something. In 2 weeks, I'm going to tell you something. Like, no, the first time you hear it is the first time you hear it. There's no preparing for something that you weren't prepared to hear. So I really don't, it really just doesn't matter. it was appropriate to release it with next season's salary cap because it's all, in one pot. The second thing, can you repeat the question again, Ashley? Because I know I had 2 points on this.
Sure, dear. It was, what do you say to teams that feel that applying these changes during the middle of the season will put them at a disadvantage?
I think those teams, in many cases, flaunted that they did not care about having debt. And that raised red flags to me, because if a system is put in place, for example, Ashley, if the state puts in a rule that the speed limit of a street is 40, and everyone in the community says, I don't give a damn if it's 40 or not, I'm going 60, and nobody writes any tickets, what's the point? What's the point? And so if you go 45 in this new speed limit zone, you're probably not going to get pulled over, right? Because you care enough about the rule that you are trying to abide by it. And you're probably not doing anything intentional by going 5 miles over the speed limit. But if you're blasting through the intersection and you whack a kid along the way, well, you know what? You're kind of becoming a hazard to what what we've put in place. And to be so brazen about not caring about debt says to me, I don't think I really have a lot of sympathy for if it's going to hurt you or not, because you really didn't have a lot of sympathy for the rule that was put in place. And you weren't even trying to care. And so to expect me to then turn around and try to care seems very hypocritical. My job is to find loopholes and exploits that I believe have become an overpowered advantage. And what I mean by that is if you can't beat them, join them. If I feel like teams will see an advantage that is clearly an advantage, these teams are not villains for finding advantages. It's their prerogative to build and create the best team that they possibly can with the rules that are put in front of them. They're not villains. Okay. They're not, nobody's trying to screw another team over. Right. But they are constantly pushing the envelope and pushing the boundaries of what is, what should be rules and what shouldn't be rules. And going back to the, Florida running the ball with a wide receiver a bunch of times, if I see something that is starting to become a trend, more people are doing it, or I feel like more people are going to do it because it is such a clear advantage, it is my job to put balance back in place. My job is not to totally eliminate the strategy. My job is to provide balance within every strategy. Because, Ashley, if I just force people into one strategy, then we end up all the same, right? It ends up a cookie cutter league and everybody's doing I don't want that. That's what happened in APF. Every team knew you build the attributes during the season and the animations. At the end of the season, you cut the animations off, you keep the attributes because the animations were killing cap space. And then as soon as the season started, you build the attributes until you get to max. And once they're maxed, all you do as a player is add animations and drop animations. And that's it. And that was the method. That's how you build a successful team. I looked it up earlier again today. At the end of season 20, 190 players had max speed. 190 at the end of the APF era. Because they were all the same. Because there was nothing that was preventing teams from pushing the limit and going all in. After the third season of 4K23, there were 8 players with max speed. 7 weeks into the SFL's 4th season in this model, that number has doubled to 16. So in the first 3 years, we had 8 that were maxed, not even through the 4th of, and I'm just using speed as an example. It has doubled. And what that shows is that the trend is returning, and it is easier with incentive money and bonus money and cut money and all that stuff. It is easier for these teams to get these players to get these attributes to max. And that is not good for the product. I have said it before. I have said it again. Whether teams ignore my theory or opinion is their prerogative. But I am here to pull you over for speeding if the speed limit is not slow enough, right? And I'm not saying, again, before this rule, there was no speed limit sign in this area. And it became a dangerous intersection, and the league put a speed limit sign in. It's not telling you can't drive anymore. It's just telling you that if you're going to drive in this area, you have to do so. There has to be checks and balances. And if you want maximums on players, your team will be poor. You will be in debt. Your players will eventually run out of money if they're not gaining incentives. And then you won't be able to max these players out because you don't have the money, right? And if teams are out there saying, well, I'll show you because we will be able to max out these players and we will be able to do everything. Well, guess what? I'm just going to come in again and make another rule. And then teams will say, why is he targeting us? It doesn't have anything to do with you. I'm just trying to provide balance to the system. If you choose one way to go about doing something, there should be positives and negatives about going that direction. I'm not trying to take it away from you. I'm just trying to provide checks and balances to the system. Same if you go the other way, so that the system works for teams who are chasing a championship or in a total rebuild. It's supposed to work for everybody. And we want to see diversity in builds. Even if that means that some players are less talented than other players, it's better for the product as a whole. Trust me. Because of all the players out there, if you all were the same, the only thing that matters is who your coach is. And for teams that have great coaching, those players are loving it. But not every team has great coaching. Football is about more than just coaching. It's about talent. It's about off-season acquisition. It's about money management. It's about good contracts. It's about not having dead cap. Ask the New York Jets how they're doing with all their dead cap. Yeah. Bad. They're a bad organization. They don't manage their stuff well. Like this is what we're trying to replicate. So yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, don't be asking for sympathy from me when you're out here just flaunting that you just don't care how fast you're driving.
Okay. Soft cap. Would you ever consider adding a soft cap? Or people would probably just go over it anyway, but I just had to ask.
So the cap is 50, but you can go to 55?
So, right. So basically your soft cap would be like about maybe 47, but you can go about 50 without penalty.
Oh gosh. Okay. So let's see if I get this right, Ashley. So in season 23, the cap was, or in season 24, the cap was what? 41 million, right? 41 million was the cap in season 24. And in season 25, wasn't it 41? I think it was 41.
Yeah, I thought it was 42, but I might be wrong.
40. Yeah. Okay. You're right. 42. Let's say it's 42. If the cap's 42 million in season 24 and the cap is 50 million in season 25, that kind of sounds like a soft cap to me. That's $8 million between one cap to the next that you can comfortably be in without there being an issue. So would I consider a soft cap? I think I've already considered a soft cap. I think that the shock value is that in the past, it didn't matter what your cap was during the season. Now I'm saying it does matter what your cap is during the season. And I would prefer to have the old system, right? But this rule is built out of necessity because of of something that I feel is becoming too overpowered. And look, teams out there who are doing it, they know exactly why they're doing it, because their players can make a lot of money. And if your players are rich, then you don't have to be. And if you have good retention, then you don't have to be. And it's bad for the league because teams with rich in attributes, teams who are rich in attributes and rich in bank money, there's no stopping that progression. There's no stopping it. And they will be able to afford. Think about all the players out there saying it's too expensive. Think about this. All the teams that have all that money and all those attributes, they're going to keep buying the things that are expensive because they're the only ones that can afford it. And you can't afford it, and your team can't afford it. And guess who wins off of that system? The teams that have the stuff, they already have all the stuff. And I'm not out here saying, everybody needs to be the same. This is not a parity play. This rule is not built so that all the teams can be 6-6. I gave up on that, Ashley, a long time ago, because I understand that good organizations will win regardless of what the rules are, and bad organizations will lose because of what the rules are. That's been like that since the end of time, and it's never going to end. So this is not a parity play. This is just simply we're noticing a trend of more players maxing more attributes, and that is directly as a result of this system. If we don't want to repeat history, then we need to close that loophole. We need to close that off. And it's not about any one particular team doing any one particular strategy. It's just trying to provide balance.
Okay, because that was a question too. If there were specific teams that you had in mind when you made these rule changes, was it like geared towards
whatever
specific
teams that present the problem? It's not that I'm trying to go after anybody specific. It's just anytime a team is the thing that is the issue, then that's the issue. The issue could reside in Minnesota or Baltimore or Pittsburgh or Chicago. I don't care where it resides, just that it does. Right. And so, it doesn't matter what team it is. It just matters, where it exists and that it does exist. If that makes sense. So look, I don't have time. I have 57 teams. I don't have time to fire missiles in any one particular direction. I'm just here to make a product that people can see as justifiable to spend time, money, effort, passion, emotional distress on. So no, I mean, I don't have time for personal whatever. I left that in therapy a long time ago, Ashley.
I understand. We talked about that. I remember.
Yeah. That's gone.
A couple more questions, and I see some more. I'm going to get to Keith. That's gone. Hold on 1 second. 1 second, babe. 1 second. Okay. I lost my place. Okay, here we go. If a player retires, can that player gift their bank to other players on the team or to the team itself to use to help towards team debt?
Not to the team. Not to the team. I'd have to check the rules, the rule book on gifting to another player. I haven't gotten that question in a while, so I'm going to refer to the rule book for now. And if it's not in the rule book, then I should probably put something in there this off season. So to whoever asked that question, please look in the rule book. you can control F so you don't have to look through the whole thing and just type in the word retired and see what's in there, so that we can address that issue. The reason, listen, if a team is 20 million in debt, if you retire as a player, that means that your subscription becomes inactive. So if you're leaving the league and the league is losing revenue, why should the team benefit from the league losing revenue and losing you as a teammate? Why should the team benefit from that? That makes no sense. It just from a business standpoint, it just doesn't make any sense. If you are retiring because you've done your time, it's not for you anymore. It's you had to take a second job, whatever the excuse is or whatever the reason is okay. Nobody's here to judge. Nobody's here to criticize that decision. And you as a consumer have every right to leave and not have to justify why you left or why you're not going to play anymore. But to try to help a team out of the debt that they put themselves in, no, the league is not going to entertain. While that's very kind of you to try and help your team out, that's not your responsibility to help them mismanaged finances. That's not on you. And you can't really help them in that regard, especially if you're not around, to further contribute.
But you would consider it for players if it's not already in the rule book.
Yeah, if it's not already in the rule book and a teammate is out the door, they have money left in their bank, and it's something that they wanted to give to somebody, I would consider it. Now, Ashley, I can immediately see a loophole. Somebody tanks a player, they rack up all the money, they have all this money, and then they just gift it to a player and then they leave. Well, what happens if teams do that in mass? What happens if 5 or 6 players do that? What happens if they intentionally tank their players? What if it's some sort of way to circumvent team debt to where, there's a certain number of players? What if players are pressured by their teams that you should be the scapegoat to tank your players so that you can help other players? There's a slippery slope. I don't know if it's in the rule book or not. It would be something that I would consider, but I also have to consider all of the ways that people can use something that is,
it can be exploited.
It's something that is genuinely good can be used for evil. Or can be used in ways that are not genuinely good. And unfortunately, I have to constantly put myself in that reality. And it's not fun to try to have to see the bad in things. But it is part of my job, because if I don't, people say, how could you not see that coming? What are you doing over there? Right. I mean, it's just part of it. So, I would consider it if it's not already in the rule book. But it's something that, we'd really have to take a look at from all angles.
Okay. Keith Wheeler asks, he has 2 questions. One, with the dev team, will it ever happen? Wait a minute. I need my glasses. One, with the dev team, will it ever happen so that players can get some benefit this season?
Yeah, earlier in the show, I addressed that. Oh. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think he was here. He wasn't.
Yeah, your internet's screwing.
There you go.
Yeah, earlier in the show, I said that I just had a call with the programmer today. The reason for the delay is that that Alex is trying to create a 3rd tier of pricing. We thought that feature was available to us because it did exist on the back end of our portal. At the beginning of the season, when we went to create that 3rd league, that feature was not functioning, and we thought it was functioning. And so, from a programming standpoint, we're trying to get that fixed. And And I take full responsibility for the length of time that it has taken to get that fix. Even though I'm not the one fixing it, I'll take full responsibility. That's not Alex dragging his feet. That's just, time getting away from us combined with, other people having busier schedules and higher priorities than us, from a programming perspective. So we would like to get that solved as soon as possible, but understand that once that is solved, it's going to take a lot of time to get that dev team set up, situated. There's a lot of different things that have to happen on the portal, deactivating contracts, activating contracts in different places, placing different players on teams, making sure that all of the account balances are accurate and all this kind of stuff. I also said earlier that, Alex and I hope to do some sort of, retroactive something. I know it doesn't necessarily help for this season, but look, it's been a couple months delay, and I said earlier that's been the biggest flaw in an otherwise great season 24. So yes, the intention is to make that happen, but it's not all in our hands right now. We need some assistance to make it happen.
Got it. Next one. When are you planning to give us fullbacks some incentives? Love.
Well, fullbacks can score 2 touchdowns. Fullbacks are a part of any skill position on offense in terms of what they could get for incentives. But if fullbacks are not getting enough incentives in terms of the balance by position, then that's something I addressed earlier in the show, that there's a member of our community that is enthusiastic about tracking how much money is going to players by position, so that we can see just how balanced or unbalanced the incentive program is, and we can make adjustments to that during the season. There's a lot of fullbacks in the league that are 100 overalls in the game, much more so than at most positions. So that's something else we have to consider too when you talk about making them, even better on the field.
Eddie asks, how do we explain to our players that they need to take attributes from the player during the season, likely during the playoff push?
Did we lose Ashley? You there, Ashley?
I am here.
Okay. Whew. I thought the whole.
You'll be running it by yourself.
Oh man, I was nervous.
Don't be nervous.
And your camera just went away too.
No, I did that by myself. I'm trying to adjust. Can I adjust without you watching, please?
Huh?
Can I adjust without you watching, please?
I don't see you. I don't see you.
Good.
How do we explain to our players that they need to take attributes from their player? Number one, they don't have to. You don't have to. They don't have to if they don't want to. You can explain to them that if the team goes into debt, that they won't receive cut money when they have to take cuts. So, if they don't want to, they don't have to. But if they have to take cuts later, they're not going to get any money back for them. So it could possibly be a detriment to them not to take the cuts, because at least if they take cuts during the season, they are getting money back for them. Also, it depends on what the attributes are, and it depends on what kind of issue it is. Let's run some examples. Let's take a running back. A running back break tackle is $293,000 right now. If that running back takes +2 cut in break tackle, they would have over $500,000 in their bank. What is the difference between 85 and 83 break tackle? That's up to the coach to say, right? If that running back doesn't take that +2 cut in break tackle, and that's causing the team to have 600,000 more in cap space being eaten up by that attribute, then they could end up having to take that plus that -2 break tackle in the offseason and then get nothing. So it depends on what the attribute is. It depends on what the price is. It depends on what the cap situation is of the team. Like I said earlier, every team is in a little bit of a different situation. But if you're trying to explain to the player how it can benefit them, it's a conversation about, now or later, if we want to take the heat. But they don't have to cut them. It's just a matter of which attribute might be the most valuable to cut, or which attribute might be hindering the team's ability to not go into debt in the previous season. So that is a difficult question. Not every player is going to necessarily understand or be on board with this idea that it's might be better for them in the short term rather than the long term. I understand that. And if that player wants to talk to me about their frustrations with the system and what's happening, they are more than welcome to talk to me directly, and I would welcome that, so I can help better understand what they're going through and why that +2 break tackle is essential, and they feel like they shouldn't have to cut it, and they it sucks that they are being asked to do that. So that's a difficult one, but that's going to be customer dependent. That's going to be different for every position, every team, every circumstance. So it's very hard to give just a basic flatline answer to a question that broad.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask these questions. T-Pat sent in a few questions for us. Some of them you kind of touched on already, so I'm going to do my best to not kind of beat a dead horse, so to speak. But one question was, well, you definitely answered this one. What team is doing? What team has been successful in the way the leagues approves of, and what team has been successful in the way? Wait, hold on, because I'm trying to read it. Okay.
What team has been successful in the ways that you would like them to be run?
Yes, winning deep in the playoffs, not getting suspended for exploiting wide receivers at halfback, retaining players, the whole package. Is there such a team?
I don't make rules based on success or failure on the field. Okay. It does not factor into my decision. Teams care about wins and losses. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that the league's rules have balance, so that everyone has an opportunity to succeed within the system. That's all. That's all these rules are put in place to do. I don't put the playbook rules in to favor or hinder success or not success. I put rules in place to provide checks and balances. If someone is being overly successful with something, I am more likely to make a change to provide that balance, because when someone does something that fails, it doesn't become a trend. Does that make sense? Again, if you can't beat them, join them becomes the trend, and then everyone starts doing it. Well, if someone does something that doesn't work, it's not a problem because it didn't work. And no one's going to adopt a strategy that doesn't work. And so the teams that are successful may be disproportionately affected by rule changes, but it's not because of their success. It's because there is an imbalance in strategy. And that strategy that has been adopted by a successful team is now going to be adopted by the rest of the league. And when there is a specific strategy that is so painfully obvious that it is the way to go, I learned my lesson from All Pro. You gotta lock it down, and you gotta provide balance, because if you don't, all the teams and all the players are going to end up exactly the same, and then we're just going to be running 90 all slants the whole time. So
I don't know why that's the first thing that popped in my head when you was talking about
but
it.
like, that's just how it goes. It's not about, I think teams are obsessed about things that they're obsessed with, and the league is obsessed about things that the league is obsessed with. But I don't think they're the same things, and they don't have to be the same things. For years, I tried to get the teams to care about the same things, and then I gave up because it's pointless. They're not ever going to care about the same things, not because the league is better than them, but because they have different priorities than the league. And the league's priority is to provide, balance and fair play and fair competition, and make decisions difficult. A decision or a strategy should not be easy. It should not be this is obviously the way to go. It shouldn't be easy. It should be difficult, because if it's easy, then everyone's just going to do it. And then it's just like, well, what's the point of a system if it's just going to be meta? I don't like meta. I don't like exploits. I don't like, and this shouldn't come as a shock to anybody, because I've been the same darn person I've been for 12 years. I don't like that stuff. Like, I'm going to put a kibosh on it. Every time I start to see one pop up, it's like whack-a-mole, Ashley. It pops, a new meta pops up, I got to hit it, and I wish that I didn't have to keep hitting it, but that's my job, to make sure that everything is as balanced as it possibly can be. If people feel personally attacked by these changes, that is not my problem.
Okay. So, and we kind of touched on this earlier. So if you want to elaborate on it, you can. If not, I understand. Do you think it's possible for a team to legitimately compete to win a title within the salary cap? Your last three champions were Mexico City, 13 million over the cap. Florida, 10 million over the cap. Florida ended at 41 million. Not sure season 22, but it's his thought process. It's like either you're competing to be the best team or have the best team bank. And do you think it's possible to have the best team bank and the best team?
I don't know. The rules are changing. All those champions were over the cap. Well, so was a bunch of other teams too. I mean, look, we're
True.
This is just crazy. It's just insanity. Okay. All right. Mexico City last year was at 55 million. Vancouver was at 45 million. Let's see. How about Minnesota? 54 million. Let's go. Chicago, 48 million. They didn't even make the playoffs. They were 5 million underneath. Albuquerque was 40 million. They made the playoffs. Carolina was 44 million. They were in the quarterfinals. I don't understand. DC was 46 million. Did they make the playoffs? I think they missed the playoffs. They were at 40. So Carolina won a playoff game at 44. Albuquerque made the playoffs at 40. DC was at 46. Vancouver was at 45. They didn't even make the playoffs. I mean, we're trying to. Indianapolis was at 48 million. They didn't make the playoffs. We're trying to equate one thing equals one thing. It's just too simplistic. No, I don't buy that theory. And I think moving forward, you're not going to, we're going to see some different strategies because of the new rule changes. With that will come a new theory on, well, how good is the team compared to what their strategy was with the cap and the banks and all that stuff. I think it's we're really in the weeds on the hypothesizing of what makes a great team. How about everything? Everything makes a good team. Off the field, on the field. Mexico City won that championship because they were the best team on and off the field all season long. I truly believe that. They wanted it more. But what is a successful?
Asking more. What
Yeah, I'm seeing that. Like. What does a successful team look like to the league? A successful team looks like to the league if you are at the player minimum and all of your players are subscribed the entire season and the team has paid their owner dues and the team is engaged, active, and involved to where they want to come back again. That's a successful team. It's not hard. It's not. If people want to play for you, you're a success. People want to play for you. You can be 30 million in debt, and I don't consider you a failure. I don't consider you a failed operation. You could be 30 million in the bank, and I don't consider you a success or none of it matters. What matters is, are the players engaged? Do they like you? Do they want to keep coming back and play for you? Or do they want to go somewhere else because they're not satisfied with the experience that they got? Now, if they leave the league entirely, it could be because they're not satisfied with the team and they don't want to go anywhere else because they're so turned off, or they're not satisfied with the league product and it had nothing to do with the team. I'm not here to debate that topic, but if a team loses 7 players because they're unhappy with the direction of the league, but none of the other teams are losing 7 players because they're upset with the direction of the league, well, that to me says that there is an issue with that team and the way that they're approaching having conversations about how the league is going and what's going on around the league, because it's obvious that that team has lost their locker room. That locker room does not see it as any sort of way to spend their time and money anymore. So that at the end of the day, it's very, very simple. If players see the value in you, the league will see the value in your team. That's it. And so all the rest of the stuff is just minutia that is put in place for competitive balance. So.
All right. He has 2 more after this, and I think we're pretty much done. I don't see anybody else putting any more questions in the.
Listen, man, I could have had a meeting with TPAT for 30 minutes, and we could have just, but that's all right. I'll answer it live.
He wants to know if there's any recourse. What recourse is there for a team that is in a lot of debt? Are they expected to take the season? Does the league have a plan for teams in debt, since this is increasingly going to be more and more teams with the cumulative nature of the debt?
Hindsight's 2020. I don't know how to answer that.
Okay.
I have 12 years of experience in finding things that are overpowered and trying to course correct, especially recently. So if you're a team that is in massive debt, my advice is to just chip away at it. If you have 12 million in debt, shave off 4 million in debt for 3 straight seasons. You don't have to tank. You don't have to go to an extreme to try and close the gap. You can if you want. And then, hey, you could even prove how, a $38 million team can still go out there and win some games. So I think that probably if I was in a team's shoes with a lot of debt, I would just chip away at it. It's not something that is unmanageable unless you put yourself in a really precarious position by going all or nothing. By going from one extreme to the next. So I think all of it is manageable, but it's going to depend on the team, the strategy that they take to get out of that debt.
Okay. A player might say, I pay a subscription to to get weekly progression money, but now my team is telling me that I shouldn't progress, or that I should progress lesser attributes than that aren't making my player better. So, what would you tell such a player? And then he says, if I go to another team that doesn't restrict how I progress, then they're way over cap, and I feel like I'm just throwing my progressions away. What would you say to such a player?
Well, I don't think there are lesser attributes is a loose word. No one thought leadership mattered till it did.
Right. To
Then,
did.
then the whole thing, composure, that matters. Everybody gets some composure. Well, no one thought composure mattered because you saw all the APF builds when we moved all those players over. None of them had any composure. Now it's consistency, right? Now it's, you need strength up front. I think they all matter. I think they're all important. I think the market tells you what it thinks is valuable and not value. And I'm not saying that they're all of equal value. I'm not out here trying to claim that. But the market says that speed is the most important attribute for a running back. So if the market says that, then it probably is, right? Because that's what everybody thinks. But just because durability is 12,000 per point right now for a running back doesn't mean it's not valuable. Running backs get hurt all the time. And then people go, oh my God, I hate injuries. Turn them off. It's 12,000 a point. It's and to progress it is not necessarily, going to put a team in massive debt. It just depends on the durability rating that you have. I think it's all relative. I think that when a player sells an attribute during a season, remember that you're not necessarily losing it. It's almost kind of like you're putting it in reserve. It's like putting money in a bank, literally. You're not giving your money away. It's still your money. You're just not using it right now. If you cut an attribute that's worth $293,000, you can just buy it back, right? You can buy it back at the point that either the team can afford it, or you feel like you want it. And if you go to your next team, be upfront with them and say, look, I had to shave 4 brake tackle off my player. Will I be able to add that back with you? And will you tell me to take it away later? Because if you're going to tell me to take it away later, that's a deal breaker for me, right? But if you're not, this attribute really matters to me. I don't want to lose this attribute. It's a deal breaker for me, right? Can we come to some sort of agreement and stick out for what you want and what you believe in? Because I'm sure that if something is really important to you, then maybe something else is not that important. And we can all find a way to work together as a unit. That's what makes a good team too. When the players and the front office and the coaching staff are all communicating effectively, they're all on the same page, they all are compromising with each other, and they're all feeling like a team, that also makes a good team. And if you don't have a good enough relationship with your team, or your team doesn't have a good enough relationship with you, well, maybe we should aim higher, because that's important. It should be important to be able to have that communication and be able to be honest and say, hey, this really matters to me. Is there any way that we can do something else, or come to some sort of arrangement or agreement, or whatever the case is? But because of the new system, see, in the old system back in APF, we're all spoiled now. In APF, you lost attributes all the time. Owners cut things from you all the time. Teams ask you to take cuts every single season. Dump these animations, lower these attributes, whatever. And what do the teams say? You'll get them back, right? Well, it's the same thing. You'll get them back. This time, the difference is the previous era, you had to wait 6 weeks to get that animation back. You don't have to wait 6 weeks. You have the money. The money's, in your bank. You can just get it back, right? You just get it back week 1, week 2, whatever. You play the whole season with it. And it is still a more player-friendly system. And I got to say, Ashley, I'm annoyed that I've been put in this position because I built this system for the players so that they would always get their cut money back. I built that system for that purpose, and you can go back to the very original video where I said that was the purpose, right? I want the players to always get their money, their cut money, because it's not fair that they should have to take cuts and get nothing for it. But it got exploited. It got run into the ground with 20 different players having maxes in all one category. And it exposed a hole in the system that is smart to take advantage of financially and with talent on the field. And so because of that, I'm now forced into a position where I have to compromise those principles, and I have to come up with a half and half and say, well, if teams manage their money, then the players get cut money. And if teams don't manage their money, then the players on those teams can't get cut money. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to have to be in that position. That was the position that I was put in, and that's where we are now. So to any player out there that feels like they're getting screwed, all I can say is it's better than the system was in APF. It's not as good as it previously was, and there is a reason for that. And all I'm trying to do is provide the balance. And it's a shame that I had to compromise exactly what I wanted out of this system. But for now, I think it's for the best for the league as a whole.
I get it, man. I get it. Try and look at it from all aspects. Yep. Being an owner, being a player, it is. But if you want to be here, you got to do it. Otherwise, there's a door. I hate to say it like that, but if you don't want to kind of understand if you don't want to gain an understanding of how to really get these things done, if you don't want to reach out, like you have a calendar, you have a whole calendar, and you can call, people can call you and literally have these conversations, literally get the understanding, that they need, but they don't do it. And
I'm not, and it's really not that, Ash. I'm not upset with any person who's upset by the change. I'm not upset. It doesn't upset me. I understand. I sympathize. I sympathize with people that are negatively affected by those changes. I don't want to upset the apple cart. And if that's their final straw, if that's their last straw, I tried my best, and it's not, they don't need to feel like they have to, justify their exit or anything. Like, I understand it's all about customer satisfaction at the end of the day. And it's very, very difficult to be a business with one full-time employee to try and make 700 people all enthusiastically happy. It's very challenging. And I can admit that I don't think I can do it. And I don't think that anybody else could either. So just know I'm always trying my best. I'm always fighting for everyone in the most fair possible way I can possibly think of. And if you get screwed by something I do, man, it was not my intention. You know what I mean? It was not my intention. And hopefully people can see that by and large. But if you can't, no ill will. No ill will. You and me are square. Good in my book, So listen, Ashley, it's all going to be all right. That meteor could hit us in 2032 and we could die. Who knows? So this is, that meteor that's 3% chance the meteor is going to crash into Earth. And it's like, man, if we're going to live life like that, I mean, that's insane. I don't care.
I mean, if it's 3:30, if it's hopefully we'd be able to knock it off a trajectory, but that's a
Well,
whole nother
sure.
thing. Like you just went left field with that
Well,
one.
what I'm just saying, there's bigger things that matter more, and there's more things that we have control over, and than things that we don't. I guess is what my point was. But I went off on a tangent.
I got
apologize.
you. I was messing with you. It's all good. So please forgive me if I butcher your name, dear. I forgive me. Mr. Yedo? Mr. Yedo?
That sounds right to me.
Cam. Exactly. What are you looking to accomplish in 2025?
Sanity. No. What am I looking to accomplish in 2025? I think that after a year of, I would say, instability in 2024, with a lot of teams changing ownership, with a lot of teams changing leadership. Nelson
Lozano?
Maybe.
Hold on, because it's been a minute. Hold on. That's Nelson Lozano. We'll see.
After a period of instability, it would be nice to find some stability. And I think we are. I think we're going to succeed. I think these feel like big problems, but considering some of the problems that we've had in the past, I think they're pretty small problems. I think a lot of it is, adapting to change. A lot of it is new. People feel attacked personally, or they feel like they're being targeted, or they feel threatened by an addition to my business. There's a lot of reasons why people feel uneasy. I think it's going to be all right. I think we're going to be okay. And I do think we're going to stabilize in 2025. And that's what I hope we can accomplish. Because I think now stability is important. We've gone through our roller coaster phase of changing a game and finding, we had the maxing of leadership that we adjusted. And then we had the wide receivers in the backfield getting all these carries without stamina. And we had running back stamina that we adjusted. And we went all through all these like big major flaws that were clear as day about what we were doing. And before that in APF, we had games where quarterbacks were throwing 7 interceptions and throwing slants 25 times a game, and every player having 92 speed and all that stuff. So like we've been through a lot. And I think that these things are small things. I think that the Hex book stuff has a lot of potential. I love our leadership right now with the 25 teams that we have. I think there's a lot to grow on. I think all the teams are doing a really good job, building great winning organizations. Did you know, Ashley, that Queen City is 4-4? They are in 17th place. 17th place. There's 25 teams. That means that 8 teams have a losing record right now. 8. That's it. That is great. That's great for the league, right? That means that a lot of teams are competing and winning games, right? And so, listen, stability is for 2025, and I think we got it. I like this group. I like the group we have. I like the crew. I like, what you and Eddie and Brett and Mike and Gerald are doing from a media standpoint. I like our broadcast teams. I like our ownership groups. It's good. I think 2025 is a winner, baby. I'm telling you. I think it's going to be a good year for us.
And there was Nelson Lozano. Nelson! Oh my God.
Okay, good.
It is so good, man. I miss you so much. And you remember when he had his show?
Yep.
Remember when Nelson? Yes. Yep. Inside the League when Nelson was.
Yep.
Hey, it's good. Hopefully you'll get back into
it. Yep. It's good to see that he's still around. I hope he's doing well.
Yes, me too. This has to be TJ. Meteor just increased by.
That's funny. That's funny. That's really funny.
Thanks. And T-Pad says, if you interact with me enough in this game, you'll start thinking wistfully about meteors crashing into you and ending it all. See, you know what?
100%. Listen,
Y'all
T-Pat.
already got 5
T-Pat is-
rings. You don't need nothing.
T-Pat is one of, if you're ever at an SFL convention, he's probably not going to approach you with a bunch of things to say. T-Pat's a quiet guy. He's the nicest person to talk to in person, not about rules. Otherwise, just leave the room, because you'll never meet someone more than you that you'd like to turn into a frog. But T-Pat and his wife, his wonderful wife, they are so nice. So when I'm sure he'll be at the Baltimore convention. Please go up and talk to T-Pat. Don't be scared. The guy is super nice. And I can't wait for our next interaction together face to face. What?
You think we're gonna see TJ?
I don't know. Maybe. You know, the dude's done a lot of things for our government. You know, he's got to keep it secret. So
Yeah.
maybe he can tell us in the chat if he'll be retired by then. But if we don't see him, we understand.
I need you to hurry up and retire, man, so I can get you on the show. I mean, I don't understand. He's the only person that, like, you know how you really, really, really want somebody to be on and really want to talk to him and really want to. Nah, not that one.
One time, like 9 years ago, I got on a Skype call with TJ and his camera was accidentally on. And I saw him. And I will never forget it.
Look, don't tell me that what I'm missing. Don't tell me.
He seems like a great guy. That was a fun moment. I told him, don't worry, you know, I won't, you know, not recording or anything. You're fine. Who knows? TJ might be there, and we're all like, who's that guy? And he just tells us that he's Doug Day, and we're like, wow, you changed. No. You got taller.
If he don't have no Twinkies in hand, I already know that's not Doug. I already know. But it looks like that is all the questions that we have for tonight. I hope I was able to tackle a lot of it. Maybe you have seen him and you don't realize it. You know,
maybe
y'all creeping me out, man. It's like that whole Corona story all over again.
I think he's right behind you, Ashley.
That basketball that I've been trying to practice with, you know, trying to, you know, see what I'm gonna do in Baltimore.
Oh, well, that's just sad.
I'm gonna tell you right now. Ashley not shooting. Ashley not going for no layups because I'm 5'2", and I know y'all gonna swat it out the air. I know y'all. Huh?
You're not rebounding either.
Yes, I will rebound the hell out you. Let that ball come down here. You ain't gonna be able to reach down here.
Let that ball hit the ground. I'll get the rebound. Trust me.
I'm throwing elbows and everything.
All I hope is that when we play that 3-on-3 tournament, that it's not windy, because it's going to disproportionately affect 3-point shooters, and that's not cool. So, you know, if it's windy, we're going to have problems, and then I'm going to have to start posting up, and that's, you know.
Who you posting up, Cam?
Not many. Up? Not Brett, that's for sure.
Not too many people.
I tell you what I'm going to do. If Brett's on me and he's starting to school me, I'm just going to whack him in the back, because that dude's got a jacked up back. Then I'll put him on the sidelines, and then I can continue on with my dominance.
See, but you know what you can do? You can actually have me on your team, and then when he's running, I'm too short. He's not going to see me. Just trip over. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good idea.
I got you. Oh, Jay Bummer, he said I missed. Oh, my God. I did miss your question.
It's about Texas teams?
You know it. So he said... Which Texas team should stay in debt? Fort Worth or Houston? They're not allowed to get out of debt at all.
That's funny.
I can't with him.
Jay's funny.
All right, guys. Uncle Ty, my good friend, checking in. I'll rebound the hell out you. I never thought I heard. Hey, it's first time for everything. Keep watching, man. You hear a lot of stuff. Oh, okay. Cam versus Torello, my 1-on-1.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Don't make me do. Don't make me do Torello like that. I'm aware that he outswam Skippy, but don't. Come on. That's apples and oranges. Don't do Torello like that. We don't need that. Just that one-on-one matchup would land me in Ashley's office for code of conduct violation. Let's come on, guys.
Hey man, don't do him like that. He might have some moves. You don't know Cam. Don't be doing Mike. Don't be doing Torello like that, man. He'll probably cross you up and then you breaking ankles and stuff.
Who, he crossed me up?
Yeah.
Hey, I'd love to see that. I'd give him all the props if he could cross me up.
I can cross you up.
Oh my God. Here. We've reached the delusional portion of the show.
Tonight's delusion is brought to you by oh man, but it was good talking to you. It was good catching up. Actually, Nelson wanted to know where the convention is this year, and it will be in Baltimore.
It's on the website, simfl.net. And I think, if I remember correctly, Nelson is up in that area. So, hey, just because you're not in the league anymore doesn't mean you can't come and party with us. We'll greet you with open arms.
Yeah.
Yeah, Baltimore, July,
please.
What is it, 10th through the 14th?
Yep.
Just check it out on the website. We already got the Hyatt Regency, and yeah, it's all ready to go.
I'm going to give you that website again, or any more information, Nelson. Let me know, and just DM me, and I'll give it to you. Okay. But all right, guys, thank y'all for joining us. Cam, I'm going to. Ace said that is his birthday weekend, so you should come and spend your birthday with us, then, Ace.
Oh, there's gonna be a party.
That's right.
Hope you like shenanigans. I said, I hope you like shenanigans.
Oh yeah, you better be prepared for that. I cannot wait to do the pool on the roof. I've never done that before.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting.
Yeah,
But thank you.
I'm looking forward to we got some surprises for the 25th season. How about Ramos, huh? Ramos will be there.
I love it.
Mexico. Yep, that's a big one. But yeah, we've got a big surprise in the works for the 25th anniversary. So yeah, it means a lot. We got to celebrate. This doesn't happen on the internet, people. 25 seasons, 12 plus years doing the same stuff, not getting tired of it as a group. Come on. Time to let's celebrate. Enough about page 7, rule 14, paragraph C, letter F, middle finger, right? Like enough. It's like, come on, let's celebrate. This is a good thing we've done around here.
Oh my God.
Hall of Fame voting is when. That's a good one. It needs to happen soon, Doug. Soon. It needs to happen, because
like within the next couple of months.
It has to. So it'll be coming soon, and that's still an owner vote. So, yeah. Is it still?
All right then.
It's still an owner vote, right?
It is, right?
Yeah. Last season, yeah. And Andy got in, and Curtis got in, and that was all an owner vote.
Mm-hmm. Ramos alone is enough to make me come to the convention. I know that's right. He share some of his Nostradamus wisdom with us.
Mm-hmm. Ramostradamus. Yeah.
Ramostradamus, honey. But all right, it's time. It is 2 hours and 39 minutes. That's actually kind of early for us, but you know. Um, thank everybody for being here. I really appreciate you. I thank you for all the questions that were submitted. I thank you guys for sticking it out with us, you know, this whole time. And, you know, just keep asking questions. If you have any questions and if any concerns, you know, if it's concerning either one of us, we'll let each other know and, you know, do our best to try to keep each other accountable and things like that. But I'm hoping that you understand that we're all human. We all make mistakes. We're all doing the best that we can with the positions that we're given. And we're trying to make a positive impact in the world that's around us. The world is it's a very crazy place outside right now. You don't know what's going to happen next. So it's good to have some sort of normalcy, some sort of something that you can look forward to and you can count on at least being a positive experience. So Cam, I thank you so much for always, you know, for working so diligently and trying to provide that for everybody, including myself.
And don't take it for granted either. And I do have one last thing to say, Ashley, that somehow we did not cover on this show.
Oh, what's that?
There is an idea out there that people are getting a less of me because of the UFL. This past week, there were games on Sunday and Monday in the UFL, or Monday and Tuesday. This week, the games are on Sunday and Monday. The next week, they'll be on Saturday, Sunday. The next week, they'll be on Friday, Saturday. It shifts in the calendar, right? All the buys work around that shift. What I'd say is that just like any business, when a business chooses to diversify, they're just trying to expand their product offerings. When Burger King has a burger on their menu and they put another burger on it, it doesn't mean that other burger is now a worse burger. It just means that Burger King is trying to reach a wider audience and more people. And each SFL team has 12 games in a 15-week period. And if we miss a couple of Monday shows, while I ideally would not like to miss a couple of Monday shows, consider this. When was the last time I missed any sort of show or game or scheduled event because I was sick? It's been a long time. I don't call in sick. That just doesn't happen. I did broadcasts while I had COVID. It just doesn't happen.
I remember that.
So when you consider someone in their place of business diversifying their company and not taking sick days, not taking vacation in the middle of seasons, not trying to provide more entertainment, and also trying to keep your costs down by offering a different product for people that can or want to contribute more money to the company and have more fun with the company. I am helping to preserve that product's ability to shine and thrive. So if I miss a couple of shows because I'm out here trying to diversify my company, I could be missing a couple shows because I called into work sick. So how many times have you called into work sick? Not you, Ashley, but just in general in the last year. Right? Think about that, because that's not happening here. I'm not out here in Belize for a week, like in between week 7 and week 8. It's not happening. Okay. I very much care about my business and this product and your product, and to insinuate that you are getting a lesser product because I am doing something else, I can assure you, is a little offensive. I don't hold it against you, but it is offensive, because I don't think that's what's happening here. We're still pumping out the same amount of highlights for all the close games that we have. We're still pumping out as many shows as we possibly can. And we've added an entirely new product. And what has happened to your SFL experience because of that product? Anything? I don't think so. And I am proud to say that I think that we have achieved something grand. The fact that it isn't. So if you think it's affecting you, just, I don't know. Is it? Like I said, it's totally natural to miss a couple of shows every now and again. And that was just due to, scheduling conflicts, and everybody's got to have a little bit of piece of the pie, and 1 or 2 shows I don't think that's going to kill anybody. So please understand what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to take anything from you. I'm trying to diversify my company like any company would. Try to reach more people, more audience, give people more opportunities, more different positions to play, an opportunity to be a better player, an opportunity to enjoy a different game, a different AI, a different experience, whatever the case is. I'm not trying to derail whatever your experience is. So please, let's not call it something that it's not, because I've tried really, really hard to make sure that it has an extremely minimal impact on our wonderful community and all of our excellent teams here. And I think that I've done a pretty good job of that. So anyway, to that comment, just that's what I think about it. So that's, now you know where I stand with what I'm trying to do with my company.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad you said that.
Just had to get that out there.
Hey, and I think with you saying that, and that's the reason why I like having you on sometimes, because it's better to hear from everybody. Can speculate, right? We can have these shows and we can talk all day to each other about what we think that you're thinking, but it's different to actually have you hear and ask and actually get your feelings, get your thoughts in real time.
Right. You didn't get those 2 shows, but you just got 3 hours with me. Each show is 45 minutes long. So you just got double of what you normally. So, it's
all about, it's your perspective. It's how you look at it. Yeah. And if you take the time out to try to even look at it from a different lens, I think you'll find that things are not as bad, not as bad as you really think it is. So thank you for clarifying.
I'm just a dude out here just trying to pay my bills just like everybody else.
That's it. Too bad you got the sucky football team, but other than that, you're a good dude. Man, you're a good dude. I really, really love you, Cam. It's just your damn teams, man.
You know what? That conversation is so irrelevant, I'm not even going to say anything.
It really is, because they pissed me off. I couldn't let you leave without saying that at least once, but they did piss me off. So.
I know. Well, hey, you did beat us this year, so and fair and square. So kudos to that. Yeah, congratulations on your participation trophy.
Oh, I almost said something. Got to put that little disclaimer up just in case. But anyway, okay, guys, we're for real. We're gonna leave. Thank y'all for being here. Make sure you put your goodbyes in the chat, your final comments in the chat. I'll be happy to run them across the screen but Cam, it's always good. Hopefully I'll be able to do this again with you off season, when you're actually just after everything is all over and done with, and
I can't wait to see how it ends up.
With you, okay?
Yep, I can't wait to see how it ends up. This is
indeed.
This is going to be a great season. I know it.
Indeed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ashley. What a great show. Thanks so much.
Anytime, man. Anytime. Thank you guys for joining us again. Put your goodbyes in chat. I will see y'all soon. Well, Let me do my thing right. Looking forward to bringing you another great podcast next week, y'all. But until then, y'all stay safe, treat each other well. For Cam, Striker, we are out.
I'm scared to leave you, but I know I need to. I know I need to. I'm scared to leave you, but I know I need to. I know I need to. I know I need to. I need to set you free. Move on with your life, just let you be. Holding hands in the back of an SUV. Ain't nobody else like an SUV for you. I bleed for you. I'm on 10, fuck that, 15 for you. I love you, but I love my freedom too. I know what I must do, but I'm really just scared to leave you. But I know I need to. I know I need to. I know I need to. I need to set you free. Move on with your life, just let you be. Holding hands in the back of an SUV. And ain't nobody else like an SUV for you. I bleed for you. I'm on 10, fuck that, 15 for you. I love you, but I love my freedom too. I know what I must do, but I'm really just scared to leave. I wanna be alone more than ever. Less free time, more endeavors. Less romance, more get cheddar. Some say both, I'm more instead of. We've been better, I can't afford any more vendettas. Some feed off it, I'm more get fed up. Some sheep-esque, I'm more trendsetter. I can't adore any more antennas. I'm overly in tune, I'm overstimulated. I'm over me and you, I'm overeating too. I'm drinking again, I'm outside the house. I'm linking with friends, you found me at the end of peak. In a sense, my love is dried up like ink in this pen. And now that I'm thinking again, I'm not scared to leave you, cause I know I need to. I know I need to. I know I need to. I'm not scared to leave you, cause I know I need to. I know I need to. I know I need to. I need to set you free.